Okay, so I'm going to talk about how, if you're getting caught up in the process of U substitution, I think really one of the main ideas is that, yes, there's a process, but I think you really need to understand where that process is coming from, and that's going to help you realize and remember what to do with U substitution. Okay, and that whole process comes from the goal of you need to make sure that the integral is all in terms of u. So you're simplifying the integral, but in order to be able to find the antiderivative, your integral needs to be all in terms of u. And that's really the main goal that drives the whole process. So let's do a few examples so you can kind of see what this means. Okay, so for instance, let's say that you have x squared e to the x cubed dx. So you may see what the antiderivative is. Great, move on. Just put down the antiderivative and you're done. Okay, if you don't see, but you notice, hey, look, I have x cubed inside the function e to the x, it's composition, and then the derivative of x cubed is 3x squared, and I have the x squared there. That means most likely when that derivative was found, it was found using the chain rule. So you can use substitution to undo it. Okay, you're going to put everything in terms of u to make that integral easier to see how to find the antiderivative. So I'm going to choose u to be the inside function, x cubed. Okay, so now this thing here, the x cubed, is u. Okay, so I don't have dx or x squared. Again, the entire integral needs to be in terms of u. Well, the only way that I'm going to get a dx is if I take the derivative of u, that equation I got for u, in terms of x. So I take the derivative in terms of x, and I get 3x squared. And look, now I know what the dx is going to be equal to. I multiplied both sides by du, okay? And now I have this x squared dx, like I do in my integral, but I don't have a 3. Okay, remember, the whole goal is to substitute everything in for what you have. So if I don't have a 3, well, I need to divide by 3. So then I know that the x squared dx is actually equal to 1/3 of du. So I get 1/3 du and my integral. Again, that 1/3 is a coefficient. It can come out. So I get the integral of e to the u du. And now it's a lot easier to find my antiderivative. I know my antiderivative of e to the u when I'm integrating with respect to u is just going to be e to the u plus c, because it's an indefinite integral. The last step, remember, I introduced the u so that I would be able to visualize the problem more. Now that I've done that, I have to go back and plug in what the u was. And the u from the original step was x cubed. So I get 1/3 e to the x cubed plus c as my answer. Okay, so let's do one more. So let's take the integral of tangent of x secant to the 4th of x dx. Okay. Now this one, it might be a little bit difficult to see what the u is. Okay, but if you go through your options, your options are tangent. The derivative of tangent is secant squared, which you have there, but you would have another 2 factors of secant that you would not be able to substitute in for. Okay, so that's not going to work. I'm going to actually change this a little bit to give me a different view of it, because I'm starting to see, well, tangent secant is actually another derivative, right? Tangent times secant is the derivative of secant. So here's my u, and here's my u prime. Okay, so I'm going to choose u to be the secant of x. Okay. My derivative, so I've accounted for this right now, so that becomes u cubed. I still need to account for the tangent of x, secant of x, and the dx. Okay, so I take the derivative of u with respect to x, so I can figure out that dx business. The derivative of secant is secant tangent, and then du equals secant tangent dx. So now that whole thing is equal to du. And now my integral, right, this is the purpose of the substitution, is to give you another function in terms of u that's much easier to find the antiderivative of. So I just take my antiderivative with respect to u, which is going to be u to the 4th over 4 plus c, which becomes, I plug in secant to the 4th plus c. Done. I hope this was helpful.